Jeff, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Pat.
Jeff just won the 2021 National Derby Championship in Sedalia, Missouri. It's the 5th of the National Derby Championships that they've held. I'm going to talk to Jeff a little bit about his experience at the National. Jeff he had a great experience. He won, but he really enjoyed the whole process. Jeff's going to tell us a little bit about the Derby Championship, and he's really excited and wants to promote the future of it and encourage you folks at home to aspire to run one of these. But first, I'm going to ask Jeff a little bit about, Jeff, you and I met back in 2001, you said.
We met in 2001 at the National Amateur in Minnesota.
It was Hibbing, Minnesota.
Hibbing, yeah.
And I remember I was at that national, of course, because that's where we met. And I remember Jim Powers won that.
Correct. And I think that was his first 2 in a row.
And he won the next year in, I think it was out west somewhere.
Maybe in Montana.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right. But you ran Ellie at the time.
Correct.
And you won a few series. You went deep into that national and had a great experience.
We did. And that was our first national. And yeah, it was a great experience. Tense, but it was good. Tense, but a lot of fun.
So in 2004, you retired Ellie?
In 2004, we kind of got out of the sport with kids growing up and that kind of thing. And so we hadn't had a competitive dog for about 16, 18 years.
So I loved, you started to tell me a little bit of the story that you didn't have a dog, you had to put an older dog.
We had to put an older dog down, correct.
And she was 14 or 15-ish?
14 or 15. And my wife and my daughter were just like, you need another dog. And so we kind of started looking around and found Monty French had a leftover puppy from a litter.
Leftover?
That all the dogs had gone home a week or two before. And we called him up, and that's how we got Winnie.
Yeah. That's a great story. You know, I can think of, well, one of the other great Labrador females of our time was maybe the greatest was Lottie.
You're correct. Well, we don't want to put Winnie in the Lottie category.
I'm not necessarily saying that, but what I am saying is that Lottie was also the last pup in the litter.
The last one picked, yeah.
And so sometimes you get so wrapped up into thinking, I got to get the pick. I mean, you're trying to go through all this, but
you just reach in and grab one.
So somebody said this, a book, I don't know if it was James Lamprey or one of the guys originally.
Chapter 2, James Lamprey, Get a Good Dog to Begin With.
Right. And he said, picking a puppy is like handing a baby a baseball, and if they throw it, they may be a major league pitcher someday. And you think, like, how silly is that? Well, when you're looking at these little 7-week-old pups, trying to envision and, you know, what their quality is going to be 2-3 years down the road, you're right, it's kind of a crapshoot. Yeah. It's not really doable. And you got Winnie mostly as a companion dog.
Well, we were gonna try to trial. I mean, we were, because we looked for a good breeding, and we were thinking we're gonna train her and we're gonna see what happens. You know.
Let's talk a little bit about your experience at the National, because you told me some great stories about how you ran the first test that they ended up scrapping.
Correct. And
then you were very impressed how the judges were very conscious of the dog's well-being, physical, and both not deteriorating their training. So
they did not want to. I don't think they wanted to shoot 2 flyers for those dogs that ran the scrapped test in the same day, because they were very conscious about not undoing any of your training as far as head swinging or anything like that. So when they shot the second series, they did it they shot a flyer, but they did it as a single, so there wouldn't be any issues with head swinging or anything like that. I thought that was very showed a lot of awareness to what they were doing.
You know, because that's sometimes people's concerns thinking about running 10 series of Derby tests and the long-term detriment to the dog. There's some concern about that, but you certainly didn't find that to be the case.
Not at all. You go to a weekend trial, you're probably going to run 4 series in the Derby the same day, and that can hype them up pretty good. We ran 2 series every day in this, which I thought was good.
Were you able to do some training between series to kind of keep her settled?
We would go out just a little bit. We wouldn't train a whole lot, we would go out and just throw some singles, maybe 100 yards even, just to concentrate on watching your birds and sitting still, basically.
So I have not been to the Sedalia grounds in Sedalia, Missouri, but I understand they resemble the place that we're standing on right here.
There's a lot of terrain there, lots of hills. It is an absolutely gorgeous piece of property. It is probably, gosh, I don't know, 600-700 acres, and he has made use of almost all of it. It's beautiful.
So getting dogs used to negotiating these hills, and I don't know if it's obvious, but behind us we're looking at a gorgeous piece of property that has a lot of role and character and terrain. And Winnie has spent plenty of time on these grounds.
Correct.
Training. So do you think that was a real benefit?
It didn't hurt. I'll say that it didn't hurt.
Another set of grounds that I've been to is Mondovi, Wisconsin, and the dogs that aren't used to the hills really struggle to negotiate and manage that kind of terrain. And so having access to something like this certainly is a plus. But you've worked really hard to travel and expose her to different places.
We have. We spent some time down in Lincoln, Georgia over the winter, and up in Michigan in the summer. And then, in East Tennessee, getting back to that, there's only two directions here, straight up and straight down. So you can't go anywhere you don't find hills in East Tennessee. Yeah.
Well, and we talked a little bit about that. You have to be careful training in the hills because it's tough on the pounding on their joints.
So you
have to be real conscientious about that.
Right.
Well, very good. So tell me a little bit about, you wanted to talk about the format.
Well, as far as that goes, the national, as we talked about the flyer and in the second series that they shot it as a single, they're very conscientious about not undoing any training for these young dogs, and because running that many series could possibly be detrimental. They're very aware of that, and they really don't let that happen. Okay, and then as far as the tests go, I thought that all the tests were very good. Bird placement was great. It was, the callbacks were good. It was just, it was a great experience.
And you told me that initially you didn't think you wanted to run it.
Well, I just wasn't sure. I didn't know whether we should go or not.
Well, you had a lot of the concerns that a lot of the other folks and people at home might have about the undoing of training, or what was your apprehension about originally running it?
Well, you'll have to edit this part out. We just wanted to go, and we just wanted to know that we could be competitive at it, and we really weren't sure at the time.
What would you say to somebody at home that had the same concerns that you had?
I would say go. Because you never know what might happen. And don't worry about possibly undoing your training or anything, and just go, have fun, enjoy it, and it's a great experience.
You said you were sitting with John Russell, who was really one of the originators that was his vision to have this Derby Championship.
Right.
And he really encouraged you to spread the word of your experience, because again, we're 5 years into this Derby Championship and it's not totally established yet, but it's certainly something we'd love to see continue.
Oh, we would definitely like to see it continue. This was the biggest one, I think, the largest one. They had 54 dogs, so it's gotten a little bit bigger every year, and I think everybody that was there really enjoyed it. So I would really encourage you to go if you get qualified and go. It's a fantastic event, like I said, and I think it's only going to get better as the years go.
Well, that's great. That's really good stuff. And the original thought of that was, it's hard to qualify for these nationals, open and amateur nationals.
Right.
And a lot of people that just don't have the facilities, the time to run a full-blown circuit to qualify. But this is a reachable thing for a lot of people.
Oh, it's very
people
reachable.
That are just getting started.
Right, it's very reachable. It's very reachable, and this is the fun thing. The Derby's the fun stake. So.
Well, tell me a little bit. It takes some luck to win a national. Things got to kind of fall in place. You mentioned a couple things that kind of went your way.
Well, we had, a lot of things went our way. A lot of things went our way that week. One day it was supposed to thunderstorm, and we had an early number. It didn't start storming until like 9 o'clock, so we got to run before it started. On the day that it was sunny, we had a late number, so the gun was like real lit up and bright when we ran. It's just little things like that all the way through that you just kind of get the good breaks.
Well, and our Open National Championship just completed, and I was
Right.
talking to some of my friends that had ran that, and like what happens in these nationals, because some of these tests take as long as they do, the conditions change, and you just described some of those: the lighting, subtle wind shift, a storm.
Right. And there's really nothing you can do about that. I mean, that's
No.
just part of it. You just kind of have to get those good breaks at those particular times.
And I think it was Wayne Curtis I was talking to, because they were driving back to Wisconsin, and his son Andy just finished three dogs,
maybe, yeah.
3 dogs in the national, and it was his first finalist. And talked about one of the dogs that was in really good shape, ran at a very difficult time. I think it was in the Ace Series. And Wayne said, the wind came in your face, it really got light, and there was a whole stretch of dogs that didn't do the test then. And that's the kind of things that's hard to overcome: a bad fly or a bad break,
Right.
sometimes bad conditions. But when a dog wins a national like Winnie did, yeah, you get some breaks, but you know what? You didn't get all the breaks. I mean, she had to do the work, and I'm sure she ran a few tests when conditions were tough. And to overcome some of those and take advantage of the breaks when they present themselves is probably what happens when dogs win nationals.
Well, we got some good breaks all week. That's all I'll say. It was good.
That's fantastic. I wish you the best of luck. Where's Winnie headed from here? You aspiring to be?
Well, from
run
here
the
we're
place?
going down the street to train. That's what we're gonna do. So, we're just gonna keep training and look for the qualifying stake and keep at it.
Well, Jeff, congratulations again.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you very
Everybody
much.
at home, that's a inspirational story for everybody that has a vision of running a national.